That voice within that Gretchen was singing about is the greatest gift we could possibly have. It's so much greater than we even understand, because it's really beyond our understanding until we tap into it and use it. It's that still small voice within. Do you know the still small voice within is only mentioned one time in the Bible, and it's in the Old Testament in 1 Kings 19. And it's the story of Elijah, the great prophet of Israel. And it's his story of when he had great victory over his enemies. He was on the top of the world until his enemies turned against him, and they came after him. So he went from this high place to being filled with fear, and he started running away because he didn't know what to do. And he ran away because he was filled with fear and uncertainty. He felt dejected and alone, and he kind of lost his sense of purpose. And he went into a cave. And he went into that cave, and there was a giant whirlwind, this wind that was so strong it was shaking the rocks and stones off the mountains. But Elijah could not find God. And after that wind came an earthquake, and Elijah could not find God. And then came a great fire, and Elijah could not find God. It was the gentle whisper within. The still small voice is the gentle whisper within, where Elijah met God and reconnected with himself, just like the song was saying, reconnected with himself. And you and I need to really take more time to connect with that still small voice within, that gentle whisper that is beyond anything we can really understand right now, because it's a greater understanding than our mind knows. It's understanding of more possibilities, more potential, greater things. Every person on that wall there, on our wisdom wall, said you need to meditate every day for, well, some said a really long time, I won't even say. Ernest Holmes said 30 minutes minimum a day to connect with that still small voice, the gentle whisper within, to find the greater possibility, to find that voice that is our intuition. And the intuition is the voice of God that's greater than we can understand right now. It's the voice that knows better. I don't know if you've noticed, but the world can be really loud. Really loud. And we can get distracted from our center, and we can get in that. And in fact, in this loudness, we can lose ourselves, and we can forget who we are. And our mind, our monkey mind, our ego mind becomes so loud that we forget who we really are. We're here to express spirit. We are here to be God in action, love in action, good in action. We forget that because this voice is so loud. The Jungian therapist from the 20th century, Helen Luke, said this that I think is so wonderful. She said, the moment we awaken to know that we are lost, to know that we're not on track, to know that we're somewhere else, the moment that we realize that, and we realize that the ego is not our master, there's something more. That's truly when our journey begins, the journey of awakening and understanding and being part of this greater good. Life is messy. That's the overarching theme this month, which we're seeing fully expressed right now. But it's not the mess that defines us. It's what we do with the mess. You know, Leonard Cohen, I love his song, Hallelujah, and I know it's done a lot, but I love that song. He knows a lot about messy lives, and he sings about it and writes about it and talks about it. And he has a quote that I think fits our teaching and our understanding so well. He said, if you don't become the ocean, if you don't become the ocean, you'll be seasick every day. Isn't that like cool? Because if we don't connect with the greater good, the greater understanding, we do get bounced around in life, and we do feel that feeling of sickness and not so goodness. So my offer to you today is not to do what Elijah did and run away. but to run towards yourself. Run towards yourself so you can make the decision to make more space in your life, to listen to that voice within, to hear the presence of God. Remember, the gentle whisper is really the translation for the Hebrew translation for the still small voice. So we can make space for that still small voice to be heard, because that voice of God is a whisper. And it's not even in English. It's not in any language. It's the language of feeling. It's that universal language that we interpret and we get to listen to and decide, oh, what's the better thing to do, the better thing. Emerson, well, Jesus was the one, first of all, Jesus was the one who taught us to get to that still small voice. He said, he made it understandable for his disciples. Go into the closet and shut the door. But he didn't mean the physical closet. He meant the closet of your mind. Go into that closet in your mind, shut out all the distractions, and close the door so you can be open to something more. Jesus walked fully in the light, and the light is the light of understanding. Emerson said, in this world, we must hitch our earthly wagons to a spiritual star. We must hitch our earthly wagons to a spiritual star in order to bring light to the darkness. And the light, to me, is the greater understanding. It's the light that we don't get right away. But inside of us in this moment, there's something more. There's something more that wants to be expressed, but we have to give it room. We have to give it space. So it's in that meditation that we get into that closet, that quiet space, shut out all the noise, and we take ourselves and hook our mind to something bigger. Because our human mind only knows so much at this moment. But when we take what we know right now in our minds into that closet, into that small space, something more will be born. Because infinite intelligence, creative goodness wants to be expressed. It wants to be heard. It wants to be brought out into the world through us. But we must tap into it first. We must be there and know something more. Know something greater. We don't necessarily have to change what we're doing, but change how we think about what we're doing. I know that most of us have heard the story of the 3 bricklayers, and I want to get a couple of these names right. But the 3 bricklayers is a multi-level parable, but it also comes from an authentic story, a real story. It was in 1661 in London, when there was a great fire and London was burnt to the ground. And they hired the greatest architect of the time, Christopher Wren, to rebuild St. Paul's Cathedral. And it's said that Wren went to the cathedral, and this was years later while it was being built, because this was a very long process. And he was there, and he was watching the cathedral being built, and he noticed on one scaffold there were 3 bricklayers. And one was kind of bent down, and the other was half standing. And there was another guy standing up pretty straight, and he thought, So he noticed the man standing up was really very productive and working fast. So he went over and he asked the first bricklayer, well, what are you doing? And he said, I'm a bricklayer, and I'm laying bricks to feed my family. That's a worthy cause, a worthy reason to be there. And he asked the next guy who was standing a little taller, well, what are you doing? And he said, well, I'm a builder, and I'm building a wall. That's good. Well, he went to the last guy, the guy who was standing straight, who was more productive than the others, who ended up being the leader of the group later on. And he said, what are you doing? And he said, I'm building a cathedral. I'm building a cathedral to the Almighty. Now tell me who felt better about what they were doing, who felt more inspired to do their work. They were all doing the same thing, but they had touched, the fellow at the end had touched into a higher purpose. And that's for us to know that whatever we're doing, we can understand a greater reason and a greater purpose to it when we listen to that still small voice. Martin Luther King Jr. wrote, if a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep streets like Michelangelo painted, or Beethoven composed, or Shakespeare wrote. He should sweep streets so well that the hosts of heaven and earth will pause to say, here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well. You know, we know that God is always for us and never against us, that life is good when? All the time. It is. It's how we think about things, how we approach things that makes the difference. The question is, are we always for ourselves? Are we always understanding the goodness we are and what we bring to the world? That's the question that's going to make a difference in how we show up and what we do in life. I'm talking about deep listening to that place in us that knows something greater. If we bring what we know there, we'll know something more. There'll be something expanded. What does deep listening mean to you? What does it mean to you? How do you deeply listen when you're in that place where you really need to know something greater? When you feel stuck, when you feel depressed, when you feel angry, when you feel resentful, all those things that flow around in our egoic mind. How do you deeply listen? Well, a little healing today, because this is Healing Sunday, and the healing today is going to be a practice from a 12th century mystic, Hildegard of Bingen. Because I think the way we approach our practice, of course, determines if we can move from our contemplation to action, if we can move from the inspiration to work and put it out in the world, if we can really become what we know we need to do. And Hildegard of Bingen said, prayer is the breathing in and breathing out of the one breath of God. The breathing in and breathing out of the one breath of God. And when I listened to that, what came to me is that one breath of God is when you breathe in, God is, and breathe out, I am. It's really connecting. It's connecting with a greater universal sense of love and inspiration and wisdom and creativity and potential. It's tapping into all that and bringing it through ourselves. So I'm going to invite you to put your feet on the ground, to unwrap yourselves. If you are one of our healers, you can stand up and around the room if you'd like and just spread some healing or stay right where you are. We're just going to take a moment and see what comes up for each one of us. As first of all, we open the space within. And use your breath, because the breath can open us. And our prayer is going to be the breathing in and breathing out of this one infinite spirit of goodness, the one infinite spirit of love, the one infinite understanding of creative potential and possibility. We're going to breathe in, God is. And breathe out, I am. God is. I am. Love is. I am. Joy is. I am. Peace is. I am. Healing is. I am. Light is. I am. I am what God is. I am the hands of God, the hands of love, the hands of peace, the hands of joy, the hands of healing, the hands of grace, the hands of cooperation. And now, whatever it is in your own life that wants to be uplifted, that wants to have a greater understanding, just breathe in greater understanding. And breathe out. It is. Breathe in, breathe out your prayer, your knowing that right where you are, the allness and wholeness of goodness is. Take a nice closing breath, knowing that all is well. And I'm going to close with a quote from Ernest Holmes. Above the wind and higher than the whirlwind, enshrined in the heart of God, there is a voice within you that says, peace, be not afraid. It is I. This I within us is each one of us. It is you, it is me. This you is God within you. This God within you is peace. And that's what I'd like to close with today, that the peace of God resides and is expanded within each of us. And we go out into this world and share that light, that good, that love. Thank you for being here today, because each and every one of us is blessed and a blessing. So will you just say right out loud, I am blessed. I am a blessing. And don't get too close, but whisper to the person next to you, you are blessed. And you are a blessing. We know it is true. We say, thank you, God, and so it is. Thank you for being here.